For this season, there's been a lot of focus on the OHL's Western Conference with the Big Four. And those teams, they've had long point streaks. We've talked about the Kitchener Rangers, the Saginaw Spirit, and most recently the London Knights on the channel with their point streaks. For the London Knights, their point streak, I believe it hit 24, 23 games, and that just ended a month ago. And London, again, right back on a 5-game winning streak at the time of recording. But right now, there are two teams in the Eastern Conference that are getting hot at the right time. But the playoffs just over a week away. These two teams looking to clinch their divisions this weekend. And I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive on these point streaks. And we'll start things off the Oshawa Generals. They're on a 10-game winning streak. They had that slow start to the year, of course. They had injuries. Callum Ritchie, he didn't return the lineup until November. Then they picked up Connor Lockhart from the Peterborough Petes, a great overager pickup from their division rival. And this team just steadily getting better and better. And they've found their groove at the right time. So let's go over this 10-game winning streak. With these 10 wins, they find themselves first in the Eastern Conference. If they win against Kitchener Friday night, that'll likely clinch top spot in the East. And then they play the Barrie Colts in the first round of the playoffs. And this winning streak, it started back on February 25th. That was a 5-2 win at home against the Barrie Colts. So how fitting it is that the team that starts the winning streak is a team you might start the playoffs against. And since then, they've had victories over the London Knights, the Sioux Greyhounds, Sudbury Wolves. Those 3 wins stand out because they were all on the road. Then they beat Ottawa, Brantford, the Barrie Colts again, Mississauga, Sudbury a second time, and most recently against the Sarnia Sting. That was on Sunday when they extended the winning streak to 10 games. And it has been impressive what the Generals have been able to do. And over the 10-game winning streak, let's look at the key contributors points-wise. It's led by Beckett Seneca. Of course, he's the NHL draft prospect for this June. He has 7 goals, 13 assists, 20 points over this 10-game winning streak. Not far behind him, Dylan Rubrick, 8 goals, 11 assists, 19 points. Callum Ritchie, he's got 7 goals, 9 assists, 16 points over the 10 games. Rasmus Kumpalainen, who just signed with the Minnesota Wild, his NHL entry-level contract. Kumpalainen, 6 goals, 8 assists, good for 14 points over the 10 games. Luca Morelli also getting it done, 3 goals, 10 assists, good for 13 points. Connor Punnett, who's a big pickup at the OHL trade deadline, he has 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points over this 10-game winning streak. Connor Lockhart, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points over the streak. And Luke Torrance, who's been on the quieter side of things over this 10-game winning streak, still 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points. And it just goes to show that everyone is buying in. You see that they're getting the offense, they're chipping in, and they're also getting the confidence of their goaltender. Jacob Oster, he has been solid. He's appeared in 9 out of the 10 wins for the Oshawa Generals. And over the 9 wins, he has a save percentage of .903. So not too bad. So everything clicking right now for Oshawa. As I mentioned, they just have 2 games left on their schedule. They're going to be in Kitchener Friday night, and then they end the season at home against the Sudbury Wolves on Sunday. So with the way this team is going, they could go on a very deep run here. Oshawa, they've got great offense. They've also got the size. You got to love having Kumpalainen and Robrick, 2 giants on the offensive side of things. Then you've got the experience of Connor Lockhart, who won the championship with the Peterborough Petes last season. And Connor Punnett, great leader on and off the ice. And I know for a lot of Barrie Colt fans, they were a little disappointed to see him being traded, but are excited to see what he's going to be able to accomplish with his Oshawa Generals team. So with the games this weekend, I already touched on it. If they can win in Kitchener Friday, that should pretty much secure top spot in the East. But if they end up losing that game, man, that one on Sunday against the Sudbury Wolves has a lot of potential as well. Because if Sudbury can win their 2 games leading up to Sunday, they have a very slight chance of catching the Oshawa Generals for top spot. But overall, this winning streak, it has been impressive. I know for sometimes when you see these point streaks, you think, okay, maybe they had some easy opponents. But no, this Oshawa Generals team, they've played the top teams in the Ontario Hockey League, and they've been getting wins. And they got 3 out of a possible 4 points against the London Knights in that series this year, because being in opposite conferences, you only see the London Knights twice. And the game on home ice, they had a great lead, but then London came back. ended up winning in overtime. But when Oshawa went to the Budweiser Gardens, they put on a dominant performance. Jacob Oster was outstanding, and a big reason why Oshawa is a threat in the Ontario Hockey League. So I know we've got a lot of focus on the 4 teams in the West, thinking that maybe they'll be our OHL champion, but don't count out the Oshawa Generals. So that's the winning streak from their side. And another impressive streak that's going on right now, the Mississauga Steelheads. They're on a 10-game point streak. Mississauga, they're a team that I think that's a little ahead of schedule. They're a very young bunch, but they're getting it done. They started the season red hot. We were wondering how long that was going to be able to sustain. And then by the middle of November, they kind of suffered some setbacks, and the team was losing a few games. They had a couple of losing streaks, but now they're back. And everyone was saying, it's going to be the Sudbury Wolves who are going to win the Central Division, but they've fallen off. And now Mississauga has taken their spot. It's a slim lead right now that they're holding in the Central Division. They're 1 point up on North Bay and 3 points up on the Sudbury Wolves. And they both have a game in hand on Mississauga. So the Steelheads, a lot of work to do, and they're going to need some help if they're going to end up winning the Central Division. But still, it's been very impressive what Mississauga has been able to do over these last 10 games. They've also been doing it without Porter Martone. He suffered an injury in the game in Windsor. There was a slash, and he's been dealing with an upper body injury. He hasn't been back since, so he's missed the last 7 games for Mississauga. But the Steelheads, they're getting points. And when you look at the key contributors of this 10-game point streak, it's fascinating the difference between the offense with the Oshawa Generals to the offense of the Mississauga Steelheads. So this is how it breaks down. Chaz Sharp, the captain of the Mississauga Steelheads, 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points. He's got the most points over the last 10 games for Mississauga. So that says a lot right there. Then you have Jakob Fibiger, a goal, 11 assists, good for 12 points. He's looked great in his first season in the Ontario Hockey League. Lucas Karmiris, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points. Adam Zidlicki, 4 goals, 5 assists, good for 9 points. Mason Zabeski, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. Angus McDonnell, a little surprised about his total, although he missed a couple of games due to suspension near the start of the point streak. He only has 4 goals, 3 assists, good for 7 points, but he puts it in night out. Jack Van Volsen, 4 goals, 2 assists on this streak, 6 points. This one's a little surprising. Luke Misa, just 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points over the last 10 games. And then you have Mark Boudreau, a goal and 4 assists, good for 5 points as well. So you see the totals there a lot lower than what Oshawa has been able to get with their offensive output. And that's kind of because this team, their offense is well balanced. They're getting support from the back end as well. But it's the goaltending that really stands out for Mississauga. They've got 2 quality goaltenders, Ryerson Leenders and Jack Ivankovic. And it's really hard to say which goaltender is number 1, because when you look at their records over this 10-game point streak, Leenders, he is 3-0-2 in his starts, while Ivankovic is 5-0 in his starts. So when the playoffs roll around, if they do take second spot in the Eastern Conference, that'll put them in a battle with Kingston in the first round. So when the playoffs start, do you go with Ryerson Leenders or Jack Ivankovic? Or do you continue this rotation where you play one for the one game and then next to go with the other guy just to keep both of them involved in the play? And this Mississauga team, of course, they're moving to Brampton next year when they'll become the Brampton Steelheads. But this team has a lot of potential going forward, and the experience these guys are getting as a unit is going to go so far. So right now, I think the Steelheads, they're going to make some noise, I think, in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I don't think they're going to go as far as Oshawa, but man, next season, they might be an early favorite to win the Eastern Conference, just with the way this team's playing already. James Richmond, the head coach, general manager, he's got this team firing, and he's been doing an amazing job with this team, and it's going to be fascinating to see, can they hold the Central Division, and how far rather can they go in this playoff race. So it's going to be really cool to see. Like I said, they have 2 games to go. Thursday, they are in Niagara to take on the Ice Dogs, and then they host the North Bay Battalion to wrap up the regular season. That's a Friday night game, and that could really decide who's going to win the Central Division, as North Bay trying to catch Mississauga, and yeah, it's going to be really fascinating. So that's the 2 teams right now on those winning streaks. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Mississauga has the chance to win the Central Division? Do you think they go on a long playoff run? And what about the Oshawa Generals? Are they your favorite to represent the Eastern Conference? these two teams on a roll at the right time. The playoffs, of course, just over a week away. And that's what you want. You don't want to be having a losing streak going into the playoffs. You want to be winning games. You want that momentum. You want that goaltending. And really, both Oshawa and Mississauga, they appear to have it right now. So again, thank you very much for tuning in, and put your comments down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.